going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Hi PSI TV. Jeff here again, bringing you some whiteboard action. What we're going to talk about today is why I prefer 8th mile racing over quarter mile racing. I don't know if you guys care what I think, but I think I'm going to make some good points. So we'll keep this short and sweet. The reason for this video is the YouTube call out that comes up June 23rd. It's at an 8th mile track, Yea I Motorsports Park. And a lot of people are complaining that it's 8th mile, not quarter mile, you know, cars won't go as fast, blah, blah, blah. I grew up a quarter mile racer up in Michigan. All we had was quarter mile tracks, and that's what I grew up doing. I knew a 12-second car was fast for a street car. I knew a 9-second car was really fast. 8-second cars, not many people had them back then. This was in like the late 90s. So when I moved down south to North Carolina, there's very few quarter mile tracks down here. We have Fayetteville Motorsports Park and we have Rockingham. Both of those are a little over an hour away from where I'm at right now, which I guess isn't really that far, but I've got probably 5 tracks that are closer that are 8th mile. And most of the sanctioned events we do down here are 8th mile. If you ever see us testing at Galat, you know, it's 8th mile stuff for us. But here is the whiteboard, and I'm going to draw some lines on it, and then I'm going to tell you why I think 8th mile racing is better. Got my dry erase marker. Almost grabbed a Sharpie. That would have been exciting. But anyway, let's say that this is our racetrack, all right? And here's what we'll do. We'll draw a line here. This will be your starting line. Start. And we'll draw a line down here. And this will be your finish. Quarter mile. Alright, so both quarter mile tracks and 8th mile tracks have the same timing marks up to the 8th mile. So if you run at a quarter mile track, you're going to get your 60 foot, you're going to get your 330, you're going to get your 8th ET and mile an hour, but then you also get your 1,000 foot and your quarter mile ET and mile an hour. So if your car is here at the start line, the first thing you're going to do is pass the tree, which will be right here. And then the next set of marks you have is going to be your 60 foot. Now 60 foot is really important for race cars. It's also important for street cars, but that's what really gets your first real hard acceleration going. So if you spin in the 60 foot, you're already losing the race. So getting moving in the 60 foot is real important. That's why we run a lot of Mickey Thompsons. We run some Hoosiers, big squishy drag radials. We don't run a lot of slicks down here in the 8th mile stuff. We've always been drag radial racers, and you know, we kind of stick to those. So let's say your 60 foot time is a 1:30. You got a street car. All right, so we're already moving. In the 8th mile, the next thing we're going to have is our 3:30. 3:30. So 3:30 foot times also kind of help you gauge acceleration of the car, so you're still really grunting hard trying to get all that weight moving. So I never look at my 3:30 time. It's not really important to me. All I ever look at is 60 foot and 8th mile. But let's guess and say we went a 3:90 in the 3:30. Alright, so we have 2 ET marks so far, no mile an hour mark. Now, both 8th mile and quarter mile tracks, you're going to get your 8th mile time. This is also 660 feet. Let's say we went a 590 at, let's say 123 miles an hour. Alright, so running 8th mile or quarter mile, you're going to notice that there's another set of beams about 60 feet before you finish the 8th mile. And how you get your mile per hour is the time it takes to go between these 2 cones on the track. It averages the speed. Same thing down here at the quarter mile mark. This happens, I believe it's exactly 66 feet before the finish line is your mile per hour cone. Alright, so now let's talk about the difference between 8th mile and quarter. So if you're running a 590 at 123 in the 8th mile, the only thing that really happens past that is you cruise. So yeah, you're wide open, you're just hanging out, driving. It's not that real hard acceleration. You're basically just finishing out what you already started. So you're going to get another time here at 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet. And then you'll get your quarter mile, ET, and mile per hour as well. So here's the major difference that I see. By the time you get to the 8th mile, you're already riding. All you got to do is keep going to the quarter. Usually there's not much wiggle of the car. There's no gear shifts. All that's already been done. But what you are doing is beating the hell out of your car for an extended period of time. So, you know, most of the cars that we take to the track are between 800 and 1,200 horsepower. So 590s, you've held it wide open for 5 seconds. That's about how long a dyno pull takes too. If you're going to hold it wide open for another 3 or 4 seconds, you're spinning higher RPM, you're pulling more oil out of the oil pan, you're wasting more nitrous, you're building more heat in the engine if you're a turbo car, blower car, whatever. So between 8th and the quarter, you're putting a lot of unneeded stress on the car, really. Now, I know everyone likes to see QuarterMile Times because it's kind of like a universal, hey, everyone knows QuarterMile Times. Not a lot of people know 8th-mile times. I'm still not good at 8th-mile times, and I've been running them for almost 10 years. So I know 590s for a street car is extremely fast. So most stock, naturally aspirated cars are going to run in the mid-7s, maybe up to the 8-second zone. You start getting the supercharged cars from the factory, turbo cars. You know, if you put nitrous on your car, you're going to be in the 6 and 7-second zone. To run 590s, you really got to be pushing on some stuff, you know, 800 plus horsepower. But like I said, this is where it's important. Up here, you're just riding. So unneeded stress, damage to engines usually happens after the 8th mile. So especially with the new heavy cars, getting them moving is a lot more of a feat to me than keeping them moving. So that's where you're going to look at 8th mile times as well. You need to get the heavy car moving, get the tires rotating, get it out of first gear. So if you guys were thinking about not coming to the YouTube call out because it's only 8th mile racing, remember, when you're at the YouTube call out in Maryland, you're standing at the start line and you see the guys go through the quarter mile, but you can only really see the car accelerate for the first 8th mile anyway. Now, Galat has huge stands. There's going to be a lot of spectator area to hang out in, and you'll be able to hang out in the pits too. But just to give you an idea of what a fast car will do, if a car is going in the 5s down there, that's pretty quick. So Greg's trucks will probably run in the 6s, I would hope. Greg? And so do a little bit of research before you come out. See what cars should be running in the 8th mile. And like I said, we go there to race and have fun. 8th mile stuff is kind of what we live for down here. But you'll still get to hang out, have a good time, say hi to all of us, and enjoy yourselves. We're hoping for really good weather. It's been raining for the last couple days here, so hopefully all this stuff moves out and we can have a good event down there. So as always, guys, be sure you comment, like, and subscribe. I promise I'll have some more cars in the videos to come. Everything is fixed right now. I don't want to go break everything before the event, so I've just been kind of taking it easy, doing a little bit of tuning on the Tahoe. The Buick's been in the garage. I've got the shop car from RPM Motorsports, the Frostbite ZL1 I'll have down there with me, so you guys will be able to check that out. Still record-holding ZL1 for a 10-speed automatic. And hopefully we'll have all the bugs sorted out with that one. Packard stuff coming very soon. I think that I've got it figured out what I need to do. So we're going to rebuild the fuel system, rebuild the ignition system, and we're going to fire that thing up and make sure that everything is good before I really start digging into the car. But I hope this kind of explains why we like 8th mile racing down here. And nothing against quarter mile. I've just become more of an 8th mile guy in the past couple of years. So thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Be sure you check out the description below for your t-shirts. Have a good night. And remember, Impalas are fast too.